You know that feeling, right? When you're working on something, maybe a project at work, maybe even something at home, and you know there's a better way, more, I don't know, thorough way to do it.
Mm, the right way.
Exactly. But then there's just this immense pressure. Get it done, ship it, deliver, move fast.
Oh, absolutely. That pressure often pushes us, doesn't it? Pushes us
Correct.
to make, let's say, compromises. Cut a corner here or there just to hit that deadline.
It's such a common tension, that pull between getting something out quickly and, well, making sure what you're building is actually solid for the long run.
It really is a core dilemma,
Yeah,
especially in areas like software or product development.
definitely. And in the world of project management, particularly with agile methods where speed is, kind of the name of the game, this exact tension has a name, a really critical concept, actually.
Technical debt?
Precisely. So today we're going to dig into that. Understanding technical debt in Agile. Fix or forge ahead. We want to unpack what it really means, why it's so vital for keeping systems healthy, especially Agile ones, and how you can spot its effects.
And we're drawing our insights today from some really interesting material in the book, Project Management for Project Managers.
Great. So let's set the stage. Agile is all about delivering value fast, right? Iterations, responsiveness, continuous delivery.
That's the promise.
But then how do you keep the code base, the foundation, clean and stable when the pedal is always, to the metal?
Yeah, how do those two things coexist? Speed and stability? Or do they just clash?
That's the question. And this is exactly where technical debt comes in. It sort of embodies that clash, that trade-off.
It really does. And the term itself is pretty evocative. At its heart, technical debt is about those short-term design or code compromises. Things you do now to go faster, knowing, or maybe not fully realizing, it'll cost you later.
Like financial debt, is that a fair comparison?
It's a very good analogy, actually.
Yeah.
Think about taking out a loan. You get cash immediately, which is great for the short term.
Right. Solve an immediate problem or grab an opportunity.
Exactly. But if you don't pay it back, that interest starts piling up. It gets more and more expensive over time. Technical compromises work just like that. Leave them unfixed, and the interest grows.
And what does that interest look like in, say, a software project?
Well, it shows up as more bugs, definitely, but also system instability, things breaking unexpectedly. Crucially, it makes it harder and slower to add new features later on. The whole development process just gets sluggish.
Okay, that financial debt analogy really helps make it concrete. It's not just some abstract idea then, it has real future costs.
Absolutely.
So why is it so critical for teams to really get this? I mean, beyond just knowing the term, what happens if they just ignore it, if they keep pushing new features out the door?
Well, that's where it gets dangerous. Ignoring it to keep prioritizing new stuff might look good initially.
Mm.
You seem productive hitting those short-term goals,
Seems like progress, yeah.
but it's often an illusion because underneath, the problems are growing. Maintenance becomes a nightmare. Fixing one bug might cause two more. And like I said, future development slows right down. Everything just takes longer because you're constantly fighting the system, working around past compromises.
So it's not just about more bugs appearing later, it actually impacts the team's ability to deliver anything efficiently down the line. It compounds.
It totally compounds. Think about team morale, too. Imagine trying to build something cool, but you spend half your time wrestling with tangled, poorly designed code from months or years ago. It's incredibly frustrating.
I can imagine. It sounds like it could really sap the energy out of a team.
Definitely. And it makes simple tasks complex. Adding a button might suddenly involve untangling a whole mess of unrelated code because things weren't structured well initially. What should be quick becomes a major effort.
Right, and that slows deployments, makes testing harder.
Makes onboarding new people a nightmare because the system is hard to understand. It just creates friction everywhere. It stifles innovation because the foundation is too shaky to build reliably upon.
Wow, okay. So it's a pretty pervasive problem if left unchecked. Now, I've heard people sometimes confuse this. Is technical debt just like a list of features you haven't built yet, like performance improvements or security stuff, non-functional requirements?
That's a common misconception, but no, it's different. Non-functional requirements are about the intended qualities of the system, how fast it should be, how secure, how usable. They're part of the plan.
Okay.
Neglecting them causes problems, for sure. But technical debt is more about the compromises made in the existing code or design that make it hard to maintain or evolve, regardless of whether you met all the original non-functional requirements.
Got it. And is it just delaying bug fixes, like putting them off until later?
Delaying bug fixes can contribute to technical debt or be a symptom of it, but it's not the whole picture. Technical debt is broader. It includes poor design choices, lack of tests, messy code structure things that might not be obvious bugs right now but make the system brittle and difficult to change later. It's about the underlying health and architecture.
That clarification is really helpful. It's not just any problem, not just deferred work. So, drilling down then, what's the most, let's say, precise definition? What's the core idea here?
The core insight, the most accurate way to think about it, is that technical debt fundamentally occurs when the system is not functioning properly, and yet the team continues to add new features rather than fix existing problems.
Ah, okay. So the system is already compromised in some way.
Right. Maybe it's unstable or poorly architected or just hard to work with.
And instead of fixing that foundation, the team chooses, deliberately or not, to build more stuff on top of it.
Exactly. That choice, prioritizing the new feature over fixing the underlying issue that's the moment technical debt, is often consciously incurred. It's a trade-off.
A trade-off that implies it could sometimes be a strategic decision, not just carelessness.
It absolutely can be. Sometimes you need that speed, maybe to hit a critical market window, or to validate a concept quickly with users, or respond to a competitor. Making a conscious choice to take on some debt for a specific short-term strategic gain can make sense.
But there's a big but here, isn't there?
A very big but. If you make that choice, it has to be managed. The material is clear. It must be managed to avoid long-term project risk and inefficiency. You need to acknowledge the debt, understand its potential cost, and have a plan to pay it back.
So ignoring it is the real killer. Taking it on strategically is one thing, letting it fester is another.
Precisely. Ignoring it is like building that skyscraper on a cracked foundation. You might get the first few floors up fast, but the whole thing becomes unstable, expensive to maintain, and eventually you just can't build any higher.
And that interest, the slowdown, the bugs, the frustration just keeps compounding.
It really does. It undermines the very agility you were aiming for in the first place. You end up slow and bogged down, not fast and responsive. A healthy system is actually a prerequisite for sustainable agility.
That brings it all together nicely. So just to recap, we started with that common pressure for speed, which can lead teams to make short-term design or code compromises.
Technical debt.
Right. And it acts like financial debt, accumulating interest bugs, instability, slower development, frustrated teams. It's not just bugs or missing features, though.
No, it's fundamentally about choosing to add new things when the existing system isn't quite right, trading quality for speed.
A trade-off that can be strategic, but only if it's acknowledged and managed proactively. Otherwise, you risk serious long-term problems.
You really have to understand the cost of that choice and plan to address it.
Definitely food for thought. Which leads us to a final question for you, our listeners, to mull over. As you approach your next project, your next sprint, your next task, what will you prioritize? Immediate speed or the long-term health of whatever you're building? Where do you or your team draw that line? And how will you manage that balance?
It's a question worth asking constantly, I think.
It really is. And if you want to explore these kinds of critical project management concepts further and understand how to navigate these strategic decisions more effectively, we definitely recommend checking out Project Management for Project Managers by Orlando Caspone.
Great resource.
Until next time, keep